What's up guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at listening to and installing the Magnaflow Race Axleback exhaust available for the 2015 and newer 3.6 liter Challengers. You should be checking this out if you're looking to ditch your factory mufflers to upgrade to a pretty much straight pipe exhaust, giving you a lot louder of a volume and a little bit more drone, and of course a raspy sound. Now this might be for the guys who are sick of hearing the very quiet, very mellow V6 sound in their Challenger. This I will give 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter, as you just heard from our sound clips. Now the big thing to highlight here is essentially you are cutting off your factory mufflers right behind the mid pipe, and you're replacing it with just 2.5-inch mandrel bent 409 stainless steel tubing straight back to a quad tip exhaust out the rear valence. Now, no muffler replacement, no resonator replacement, it is literally just straight piping. Because of that, you're getting a lot more drone than you may be used to with the factory exhaust, something some guys might hate, some guys might love, but either way, you can't deny you're getting a big change in sound for your 3.6, which most would argue it could probably use. With that in mind, I am going to say that this one comes in right around 650 bucks. It is a lot more affordable than an entire catback replacement. So if you're looking to keep it to a tighter budget, an axleback like this one is worth looking at, but keep in mind it does require cutting. With that in mind, the install I am going to give nearly 3 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter, not because it's a hard job to do, but because it does require you to break out the Sawzall, which you might not be comfortable using, and if that's the case, make sure you're seeking out professional help to get it done properly. Now, you do not have to weld, but it is recommended when you do some cutting like this to have your axleback welded into place. That is not what we're doing here. We actually found that our 2.5-inch and 2.25-inch clamps did the job. Some cases might not actually be that way. You may have to tack weld it on, which again isn't the end of the world, but does require that expert level of mechanical skills. With all of that in mind, it takes about an hour from start to finish, maybe 2 if you're not super experienced, but simple hand tools will do the trick otherwise. I'm going to take you guys through every single step of the process, starting with cutting our factory exhaust out of place and then bolting this up. We'll take a closer look at this compared to our factory system as well, so you want to stay tuned for that, but let's get started. Tools used in this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, an extension, tape measure, 10 and 13 millimeter swivel sockets, 15 millimeter deep socket, a 10 millimeter swivel ratcheting wrench, a hanger removal tool, PB blaster or WD-40, an angle grinder, a Sawzall or similar, some eye protection, and a Sharpie. Now the first step here is of course to measure and then cut our factory exhaust off of our 17 3.6. Now in order to do that, we're going to start here on our driver's side. Now back here behind the factory resonator, next to the mid pipe, you're going to see that attached flange portion of the driver's side exhaust. Now this is only on the driver's side, and right behind that flange with the springs, you'll see a welded on hanger. We're going to measure from that hanger toward the back of the vehicle 11 inches. I'm going to make a mark with my black Sharpie here. That'll indicate exactly where we're cutting. We're then going to repeat this on the other side, except instead of using that flange as a marker, we're just going to use the welded on hanger as our marker, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. But starting on the driver's side here, measure 11 inches back from that welded on hanger. Make sure you measure twice, making 100% sure you've got the right location before you make your cut. Now over here on our passenger side, essentially doing the same thing. We're going to measure from this welded on hanger. Just put the edge of your tape measure right up against that. Measure out about 11 inches. Make your mark. We're basically just going to wrap that around, just so we have a good guideline. We're going to cut straight across there. Now keep in mind, you can always cut more off, you just can't put more back on. So you want to make sure this is as accurate as possible. We're at exactly 11 inches there. That's where we need to cut. So let's grab our Sawzall and we'll get to work. All right, so we've got a thin kerf, thin blade on the end of our Sawzall. We're just gonna make a cut straight down this line. All right, now we can repeat that for the other side. Now the next step here is to grab an extension on your impact gun or your ratchet. I'm using a 13mm swivel socket. You can also use a 13 deep socket if that works for you. And you're just gonna remove this bolt holding on the hanger and isolator to the body of the vehicle. Keep in mind this is going to start dropping down, so just be careful of where your head's at. Now the next step here is to remove our tip. Now this is optional. You can leave the tip up there and use the provided hardware and gear included in the kit to retain the tip, but we want to switch it up and use the tips provided for us from Magnaflow. So what we're going to do is grab a 10mm swivel socket. I'm going to remove these 3 bolts holding the tip on, and then there's one more tucked right behind the trunk here, and that's a little bit more difficult to get to. We might need a swivel ratcheting wrench to get to that, but we'll see once we get the other 3 off. We're gonna grab a swivel ratcheting wrench and pop that last one off. All right, so we've got our swivel ratcheting wrench, 10mm, and this isn't the most fun angle I've ever worked with, but it'll get the job done. So we're just gonna try to get this nice and slowly out of this position. I know it's tough to see, but you need to push up against the wrench to get it to hook on. All right, now we're doing the same thing for the other side. Grab your 13mm swivel again. We're gonna pop off the brackets holding the hangers and isolators to the body. All right, now we're doing the same thing again with our 10mm socket. We're gonna remove these 3 bolts, switch over to our swivel ratcheting wrench. We'll get off the 4th one. Now the next step here, we do have to clean up our pipes before we can install anything. So grab an angle grinder or something similar, just clean up the burr around this pre-cut pipe. So what we're gonna do, go around the edges a little bit. Doesn't have to be anything too spectacular. You just wanna make sure that the pipes are gonna connect pretty smoothly. So just repeat for the other side. So we finally got that factory axle back cut off of our factory exhaust on our 17 3.6 Challenger. And as you can see, there's a pretty big difference between our Magnaflow kit and our factory kit. The main difference being the straight pipe design. We're getting rid of that factory muffler, the goofy shaped muffler, that really restricts that airflow and mainly restricts the volume and tone that you would want out of a muscle car. So straight piping it with your Magnaflow kit here is going to drastically change that. Expect a lot more volume, a lot more raspiness, a lot more depth to it. And you're also going to expect a very different exit style coming out the rear. Now this is optional, like I said earlier, so you can retain your factory tips. We want to swap them out for the quad tip here, which are really dual 3.5-inch polished stainless steel tips coming out the back end on each side. I like the quad tip design. It's a very modern muscle car thing that we're seeing nowadays. And this does have a 409 stainless mandrel bent tubing, 2.5 inches from head to toe, and that's really going to streamline that airflow as well. The mandrel bends are going to help make sure there aren't any kinks in the piping, streamlining that airflow from your factory resonators back to the tips. So I really do think this is a big upgrade from the factory exhaust. Bolting this up is going to be pretty simple. The only thing we do have to transfer over are those hanger brackets. We're going to pop those off, swap them on over to our welded on hangers here. They're in pretty much the same location. They'll bolt right up. And really from there, we're just going to clamp everything together. Now, one thing I will recommend before we move forward is if you find that your clamps are not getting tight enough, you can always revert back to welding them on, which of course does add an extra step of install and difficulty, but I expect that won't be too much of a problem here, so we're going to bolt that up directly after transferring these over. So let's get to it. Now, transferring these hanger brackets over are pretty simple. Two things you'll need: PB Blaster or WD-40 and hanger removal tool. Now, this is not required, definitely recommended. It makes life so much easier. So what we're going to do first is grab our PB, rotate this downward, and just get it nice and lubricated on both sides, just to make life a little easier. It's looking a little rusty, so it's going to need it. Do the same thing for the front. Let that soak in while we work on the back. Grab your hanger tool and just pinch it off. All right, do the same thing on the other side. All right, now on our passenger side, there is a ground strap. You can just unsnap that, disconnect it, and set it aside. Perfect. Let's transfer these bad boys over. Now, transferring these over is pretty simple. If you need PB, you can always lubricate the inside of the bushing. You just want to make sure that this locking tab here is facing the front of the vehicle. Slide that all the way back. The same thing for the front. Make sure that that tab is facing the front of the vehicle. Repeat for the other side. Now, if you are using PB Blaster like I am here, just make sure you're being mindful that it is going to spray onto your tips. So you might want to grab some detailer or something just to clean those off while you get them installed. Now for this one, you want to reattach the ground strap to the welded on hanger. The next step here, we're going to grab our pipe that we just put our bracket on. I'm going to put a clamp on this side. This is one of our 2.25 inch clamps, so one of the smaller ones. I'm not going to tighten this down. I'm going to insert this over our factory exhaust pipe, and I'm going to take one of our 13mm bolts. I'm just going to lightly by hand tighten down the bolt on this bracket to the vehicle. This way we can get it exactly where we need it to be. All right, once you get that bolt in a couple of threads, you can grab our socket and tighten that down, and then tighten down this clamp. All right, I got my 13 swivel socket here. I'm just going to tighten down this bolt. Now we can tighten down the clamp at the back end. Grab your 15mm socket. I like to rotate this upward. We're going to tighten this down. All right, now we can do the same thing on the other side. Next step, we're going to put our tips into place here on our passenger side. We're going to make sure we have the 2.5-inch clamp on this side. Slip that all the way back, seat it into place. Make sure your bracket is lining up with the hole, and we can tighten that down. Let's grab our 13mm bolt. Next step, grab your 13 socket, and we're going to tighten down that one bolt. You want to make sure your tips are aligned where you want them. All right, now we can grab our 15 socket and tighten down this clamp. Just make sure you're aligning the tips where you want them. All right, now we can do the same thing on the other side, making sure we have a clamp in place before we put our pipe up on the exhaust. Well guys, that's going to wrap up my review and install for the Magnaflow Race Axleback exhaust for the 2015 and newer 3.6 Challenger. You can check this kit out right here at AmericanMuscle.com.